Good morning, my walking warriors, and how are you today? Hopefully this finds you doing okay. So today I want to talk about the medical benefits of walking so much. I don't remember if I told you guys yesterday or not, but I suffer from diabetes, and I've been suffering from diabetes since I was pregnant with my youngest son. It started about 12 years ago. Started with gestational diabetes. And a couple years ago, about 4 years ago, in fact, my diabetes hit this level of being severely dangerous where I would take my blood sugar and my monitor would basically just wave at me and say hi, because my blood sugar at one point when I went to go have some medical tests done in the hospital was at 785, which is close to being comatose. Well, ever since I got to Oregon, I got hooked up with the right kind of doctors. I got put on the right kind of medicine, and it started to bring my blood sugars down a bit. But even though it was still bordering up to 200, which is still fairly high, I started walking, and my blood sugars have actually stabilized. The last time I had my blood sugar test done and my A1C done, it was at 6.1, which is nearing outside of diabetic levels. So, though I'm always going to have diabetes, it actually helped bring my blood sugar down and has stabilized my diabetic levels. My doctor was quite impressed, and my blood sugar runs anywhere from 100, which is kind of low, to 145 when I wake up in the morning, which is actually a little bit high, but not dangerously high. So I wanted to talk about the different medical benefits that walking produces on your body. It also helps with your arthritis. It helps get your muscles moving. It helps get your joints working much better. And it helps with several different things. So I want to touch on that today, and I also want to touch on the different things that I do for myself to take care of myself. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera here. There are many things that I do to take care of myself, like self-reflection. Not just when I'm out walking. There are different things that I do to take care of myself, like I go home, I write in a journal, I read, I play with my dog, who is also a service dog. He is a diabetic dog. He alerts me when my blood sugar is too high or too low. He actually, the first night I had him home after getting him when he was a puppy, my blood sugar got too low, got down into 80. And dogs can have a keen sense of smell, and your body sets off ketones when your blood sugar goes out of whack, and it sends off a certain smell to animals. And he was able to smell the difference, and he reached up and grabbed my ponytail with his mouth and started yanking on it. So I went and took my blood sugar, and it was at 72. So he's doing a really good job doing what his purpose is. He also keeps me happy. He keeps me healthy. He keeps an eye on me. And he does things for me that other animals probably wouldn't do. Like, he just generally keeps me in a better mood. I play with my children, joke around with them. I like to read. One of my favorite authors is Leanne Moriarty. Now, mind you, anything that I mention in my videos here, I'm not sponsored by. I have no sponsors. So when I do shout outs to different bloggers or podcasters, I'm not being sponsored by anybody. I'm just giving a shout out. Another medical benefit of walking is with my fibromyalgia, it actually helps to get up and moving. If I sit too sedentary for too long, it causes my fibromyalgia to flare up. And though cold weather does cause my fibromyalgia to flare up, the best time to walk is during the summer for me. And during the winter, I find it more difficult to walk, but like I said, we have a gym, so I'll be able to access the gym this winter when it starts getting cold, because it is heated and air conditioned. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down in the comment box. My life is pretty much an open book. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have as far as my walking and what I do for myself. My day consists of, I wake up early in the morning, I take my morning medications, I eat a sensible breakfast, which usually is a couple Eggo waffles, and then I get out there and walk. I use the Eggo waffles for the carbs because it helps with the blood sugar. Your blood sugar can actually tend to drop low once you've been walking. So I make sure to take care of myself and do that. I eat something with a lot of carbs in it, so I'm not walking to where my blood sugar is going to drop low and become dangerous. Other aspects of walking that's good for your body is, obviously, it helps you with weight loss. It helps with building stamina. It gives you heart healthy aspects. It helps with your heart, get your heart pumping, gets the blood pumping through your body. It helps with so many different aspects of your life. And these are just things that I've noticed with myself. I'd like to hear from you people. If you started walking, what kind of changes or benefits have you noticed going on in your life? What kinds of things do you do? What kinds of podcasts do you listen to? Or do you listen to music? I love listening to music when I walk too. My most favorite pop star is Pink. She just absolutely speaks to me on so many levels. And I just think that she's just like one of the greatest. She's on my bucket list. I would love to see her live and in concert before I eventually die. She's just totally on my bucket list. I've seen videos of her different concerts, and she just puts so much time and so much now into her concerts that I just think that she's just amazing. Now I'm having a brain fart. I'm sorry. So, like I said, there are several things that you can do for yourself. And not all of it has to deal with walking. Like I said earlier, I love to read. It's kind of hard to read and walk at the same time. I love to write in a journal. I love spending time with my dog. I'm just going back over this in my head. Love spending time with my children. Love spending time with my husband. My husband is my rock. He's definitely been there for me over the past 14 years. We just celebrated our 14-year wedding anniversary. I love talking on the phone to friends and family. I talk to my mom on a daily basis. I talk to my biological father. I talk to my friend Crystal. Shout out to Crystal. I talk to my cousin Stacy sometimes. I talk to my grandmother. I talk to several different people. My son, Gabriel, I talk to him quite often too. I'm not one of those to play video games, though I do enjoy playing The Sims sometimes. But I haven't played The Sims in probably a good 6 to 7 months. I like watching TV shows. I like watching documentaries. I like watching Modern Family. I like watching true crime shows. I think I've made that pretty much apparent. I like watching comedies, thrillers, basically anything based on a true story. A lot of Lifetime movies. My best friend Jackie, shout out to Jackie, and I used to have Lifetime movie marathon nights where we would order pizza from Papa Murphy's and go pick it up, artichoke pizza, and we would go home, go to my house, and put on a couple Lifetime movies that we DVR'd throughout the day or DVR'd the night before. DVR is a great and wonderful thing, isn't it? Not really big into sports. I love to go on Facebook. I love to go on Twitter. I'm still trying to learn how to use Twitter, though. Twitter's kind of a mystery to me. I don't quite understand it just yet. It's kind of confusing to me, so if anybody has any suggestions on what to look up and who to follow on Twitter, that would be great. And anybody can teach me how to use Twitter, let me know, because I would really like to know how to use Twitter. I hear a lot of people talking about Twitter, and I'm really intrigued by it, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So, what kinds of questions would you guys like to know about me? What kinds of questions do you have about walking? And how many of my subscribers are actually loyal watchers and actually watch every day? I would love to hear comments and get feedback on what's going on with everybody. So, like I said, my diabetes kind of stabilized, though now it tends to run low sometimes, and I start to feel shaky. So if you ever see my phone get shaky, not only do I have essential tremors, but I also have this wonderful thing called diabetes that we've talked about that causes me to get shaky if I don't eat enough or if I don't have enough blood sugar in my body. So if you see that happening, just be aware that I've got it under control. I'm going to be taking care of it. I love watching movies. What kind of movies do you guys like to watch? Is there anything that we could discuss? Any current events that you would like me to discuss on here? I would sure like to know. I'm trying to get this going, get it roaring and ready to go, and it's kind of hard. I kind of feel like since I'm just starting out that I'm just blabbering and going on and on and on saying the same thing, but I would really like you to hit this like button and hit the subscribe button. I would love to get more followers. So let's talk about self-reflection for a little bit. I do a lot of self-reflection when I'm out walking. And the one thing that I always reflect on myself is, how could I have made things differently in my life? Would things be different if I took a different path down a different road than what I did when I turned 18, 19, 20? When I was 18, I went to college, but I actually flunked out, and I didn't really mean to. It just happened that way. And then I ended up having my oldest son. And I always wonder, would things have been different? I would never change the fact that I had my oldest son. He is the light of my life. But would things be different if I would have waited a couple years? Would things be different if I would have met my husband first before I met my ex-husband? Don't get me wrong, my ex-husband's a nice guy. He's just got some issues that he's working on. But would things be different if I would have led a different lifestyle? And these things kind of bother me sometimes. But then I think, no, I'm really happy with the way things turned out. I'm really happy with how my life has become. I've got 4 amazing kids, and I wouldn't change them for the world. They are who they are because of the way they were raised and because of the way that they are. Well, that didn't make very much sense, did it? They are who they are because of how they are, because of the way, because of who their parents are. Let's put it that way. Remember, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. My kids are amazing. They are the light of my life. They are my reason for living. And I don't want to give away too much information about my children just because this is so available to the public. But they are the most amazing individuals you will ever meet. My 19-year-old has had some struggles in life. He was autistic. He is autistic. And he's succumbed a lot of those struggles. He is just amazing, and I can't imagine his life any other way, and I can't imagine him turning out any other way than he has turned out. And I am so proud of him for who he is and what he's become today, that I don't think he even realizes just how proud of him I am. And just like the rest of my children, I am so proud of them for who they are. They each have their own personalities, and I just think that they're all amazing people. I wouldn't change any of them for the world. I myself kind of wonder if I could be a different person, if I could be different if I was raised by my biological father versus having my stepdads raise me. But I wouldn't change that for the world either. And I'm not saying anything bad about my biological father. It's just, I had some pretty damn good, amazing stepdads, and I would never change that for the world. I think they're just amazing guys. And it's sad that they both passed away within 2 weeks of each other, because they really were the greatest guys in the world. And I miss them dearly. I'm still struggling with my grief and loss issues, and I'll be the first to admit it. And I do a lot of self-reflection about that. Where would I be today if they hadn't have passed away 14 years ago? Would I still be calling my dad Bill every single day while he was out on the road? Would I still be calling him, wanting to talk to him? And we would have daily phone conversations. I would constantly call him from work, and he was my dad. He was my daddy. He was just amazing. I don't know how else to put it. It seems like I'm throwing that word out a lot, but that's truly how he was. I can't think of another word to describe him other than just simply amazing. And I do a lot of self-reflection on him, and how could I have made things differently? Could I have helped save him when he was lost in the woods? Could I have been there? Could I have gone and searched for him? Could I have found him? Could I have made things better? Could I have done things differently? And the answer, honestly, is no. There's nothing I would have been able to have done, because it's a whole long story as to what happened with him. And it's sad and it's tragic, but I really don't want to get too much into it, because if I do, I'll start to cry, honestly. And I don't want to cry on my videos. This is supposed to be happy and upbeat, and I don't want to make it sad and somber, but he was like the greatest man I ever knew. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that song by Reba McEntire called The Greatest Man I Ever Knew. Well, that song, I swear, was written for him, and he was the greatest man I ever knew. And I do a lot of self-reflection on him. So I think we better switch conversation topics, because that one's starting to make me teary-eyed. But I have siblings that I would love to just be connected with on a deeper level. All but one. You know, we all have that one sibling that they're kind of the black sheep, or you are the black sheep, which I'm not saying anything bad about black sheeps of the family. It's just, this black sheep just needs to stay out of the barn as far as I'm concerned. So I do have siblings, though, and I do love all of my siblings dearly. I think they're great, and we all have fun with each other. One of my siblings, here's a quick story for you. See my hand? Notice my hand. I only have 3 fingers and a thumb. So I was in Colorado about 8 years ago with my husband. We were on a long haul truck driving trip, my first trip out in the truck ever, and we were going to be meeting my brother Josh. And I was so excited. I hadn't seen Josh in like 18 years, and I was so excited to reconnect with my brother. It was either 18 or 24 years, something like that. But I was so excited to reconnect with my brother, and I was going to be meeting my sister-in-law, and I was going to be meeting my niece, and I was so excited because I couldn't wait to see them all. And so we end up parking in a Walmart parking lot, and I suffer from altitude sickness, and this was in Colorado, which is the worst place to be if you suffer from altitude sickness. So we're in Colorado, and we're in this Walmart parking lot, and I get a hold of my sister-in-law, and I told her where we were, and she's like, okay, well, Josh isn't going to be able to make it tonight. He's not off work yet, but I will bring Haley down there, and you can meet me, and you can meet your niece. And I was like, okay, cool. That kind of sucks that I can't see my brother, but I would love to meet you and my niece. So she comes and she meets me, and she brings me a drink from Sonic. It was one of those slushes. And we're sitting inside the truck, and we're drinking these slushes, and I already had diabetes at the point, and these slushes are packed full of sugar, and I don't know if it was just the diabetes or if it was the diabetes and the altitude sickness, but we're standing outside the truck, and I felt like the whole world start to shift under my feet, and I said, do you mind if we sit down in the truck? I'm starting to feel like the world's starting to spin. And she's like, no, that's not a problem. So I go to get in the truck, and I grab the door handle with my right hand. I have my slush cup in my left hand. I open the door, and the next thing I know, I'm staring at the front tire of his truck. Totally blacked out, fainted. She's like running around the truck, and she screams, and she goes and she starts banging on the semi-truck door, yelling for Dan to come down, telling him that something happened to me, that I fainted, and she didn't know what was wrong. And he comes down, and he's like, all I hear him say is, where's her finger? And my hand felt like I had a clamp on my finger, and it hurt really bad. And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that when I fell, I might have landed hard on my finger, maybe broke my finger. But I heard Dan say, where's her finger? And then I heard the truck door open above my head, and Dan say, oh, here it is. And then I heard the Walmart manager goes, oh my God, did she bite off her finger? And I was like, what the heck what are they talking about? And then they call 911, and 911 comes, and they keep telling me, the paramedic keeps telling me that I've had a heart attack. And I kept saying, no, I didn't have a heart attack. I don't have any chest pains. I don't have any pains radiating down my back or my shoulders or my arms, any classic signs of women having heart attacks. I didn't have a heart attack. And he kept saying, oh no, you had a heart attack. You had a heart attack. And he hooked me up to a heart monitor. And he's like, well, your EKG shows normal, but you still had a heart attack. And I kept telling him, no, I didn't have a heart attack. So they get me to the hospital named Poudre Valley Hospital. And they get me to this hospital, and they're cleaning up my hand, and they bring in my finger that they had put in this slush cup with this ice that was left. And they're like, well, we're not going to be able to reattach this because there was a huge string connected to my finger, which turned out to be my flexor tendon. And so I kept fainting while I'm in the emergency room, and I couldn't figure out why. And I would be fine 1 minute, and the next minute I would be passed out. And then I'd be fine the next minute, and the next minute I would be passed out. And this happened like 5 times. Come to find out, when I got back to Yakima, when the doctor got the official medical records from the hospital, the nurse that was treating me, along with the doctors, he was responsible for giving me morphine for the pain, and he kept overdosing me. He overdosed me 5 times, and they kept using Narcan to pull me out of it, and then they would give me more morphine, which would overdose me again, and they would give me Narcan to pull me out of it, and he did that to me 5 times. And long story short, I ended up losing part of my finger to the truck. My hand had been in the truck when I had fainted. I had fallen against the truck door, and I ended up losing part of my finger to the truck, and then I had to go to a hand specialist there in Colorado, just down the road from the hospital, and I had to have cleanup surgery, and they had to cut off more. And then since the flexor tendon had been pulled out, my finger would stick straight out. It wouldn't bend anymore. So I had to have what's called a ray amputation when I got back to Yakima, where they amputate the whole finger clear down to the inside of your hand. They take out that whole metacarpal. And I think it's metacarpal, or is it metatarsal? If any of you guys know anything about human anatomy, could you drop a comment below and let me know which one it is? But they took out the whole finger bone clear down to the middle of my hand. And so now I'm living life with 4 fingers, and it was quite an adjustment trying to learn how to do it. And I felt a lot of embarrassment having this amputated finger, but I've dealt with it now. I've done a lot of self-reflection with it now, and I'm perfectly happy with the way that it is. I think it turned out great. My hand looks great. There's just 2 scars, and you can't even barely see them anymore. Michael has kind of a matching scar in the back of his hand from when he cut his hand open on a garbage bag one time when he was little. So we always say we have father-mother matching scars. But yeah, I think I'm going to end that, and I will try to have this better prepared tomorrow, to where I can sit down tonight, write out what I want to discuss tomorrow, and practice it. That way it's better done, and there's not so many brain farts, and it's not so all over the place. And we'll figure out what tomorrow's topic will be. If you have any ideas, thoughts, or opinions on what you want tomorrow's topic to be, drop them in the comment box. If you like this video or dislike this video, please mark it below, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm just trying to be motivational and inspirational here, and the more followers I get, the more it'll pop up and help other people. So I will see you later, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, wear your mask if you feel comfortable. Hopefully you're vaccinated. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody by saying that. And stay safe in this time of medical crisis with this horrible, horrible illness going around. And I will talk to you later. Peace out. bye, my walking warriors.